Protests in Iran broke out after the country's military admitted it mistakenly shot down a civilian passenger jet. Social media videos showed protesters fleeing tear gas. The sound of gunfire could also be heard in the background. While Tehran's police denied using live ammunition, videos showed pools of blood on the ground. The demonstrators were calling for accountability in the downing of the plane. The demonstrations were a contrast to the public displays of mourning for Qasem Soleimani, the slain Iranian military commander. The US drone strike that killed Soleimani in Baghdad on January 3rd led to nearly 2 weeks of heightened tensions between the United States and Iran. Iran retaliated by firing more than a dozen ballistic missiles against 2 Iraqi military bases housing US troops on January 8th. Around 4 hours later, a Ukrainian passenger jet crashed near Tehran, killing 176 people, including 82 Iranians, 57 Canadians, and 11 Ukrainians.
The evidence indicates that the plane was shot down by an Iranian surface-to-air missile. This may well have been unintentional.
Iran dismissed claims that a surface-to-air missile had mistakenly shot down the plane at first. The state-run news agency accused the United States of waging a, quote, psychological operation. But Iranian officials admitted on January 11th that the military had mistook the Ukrainian airliner for a hostile aircraft.
چون تو ارتفاع کم هواپیما مورد اصابت قرار گرفته توسط یک موشک کوتاه برد بوده. این هم مجاورتی عمل میکنه. این موشک چون سرجنگیش کوچیک بوده و مجاورتی عمل کرده، این هواپیما فرصت پیدا کرده در واقع یه مسیر به رو هوا متلاشی نشده، بعد خوردن به زمین متلاشی شده.
So, this is all civilians that have just ended up in the wrong place at the wrong time, and that were really unfortunately part of this whole cycle.
The Iranian strikes on Iraqi bases resulted in no casualties and appeared to de-escalate tensions between the United States and Iran.
Iran appears to be standing down, which is a good thing for all parties concerned and a very good thing for the world. No American or Iraqi lives were lost because of the precautions taken, the dispersal of forces, and an early warning system that worked very well.
U.S. officials said they knew hours ahead of time that Iran intended to strike at American targets in Iraq. But military personnel on one of the bases that night told the Post they only had minutes' notice before the blasts began.
So what we're seeing in the satellite images are incredibly precise hits against certain parts of the facility, buildings that are seem to be used for storage, hangars that might be used for drones. That's something we're still checking. And what is really remarkable about the pictures is the accuracy of the impacts. So it looks a lot like the Iranians were exactly knowing what to hit and that they hit it very precisely. I disagree with the common view right now because I would argue that these missiles are so powerful and their effect is so difficult to control that Iran took quite a risk and they actually accepted the risk of casualties.
An Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps commander later said Iran did not intend to kill anyone, but rather target the American, quote, military machine.
As previously announced by the president, we are announcing
On January 10th, the Trump administration placed more sanctions on Iran in the first concrete response to the attacks on U.S. forces in Iraq. In the aftermath of Soleimani's death, Iranian state television broadcast video showing hundreds of thousands of Iranians taking to the streets for his funeral procession.
Over the past few weeks, it had been quite effective in changing the conversation from what was going on in November and December in Iran, the protests, which were in response to corruption, mismanagement, the state of the economy, all of those things, to now this kind of foreign adversary, i.e. the United States. So you had this moment of unity. that allowed the regime to kind of present a united front to the international community, to the United States, and really domestically shift the conversation from what was not a very good place for the regime to a much better place in the aftermath of Soleimani's death.
But the downing of the plane saw the return of anti-government protests. The Washington Post obtained a video that allegedly shows the moment the airliner is struck in midair. The video was first published by the New York Times.
I think this is a tragedy that probably had several components. The heightened alert on the part of the Iranian air defenders and the Iranian military broadly, that's probably what made them a little trigger happy and twitchy, frankly. And it could also be a combination of bad training and limitations of their hardware. It's hard to kind of prevent this kind of a tragedy, but it's understandable at the same time.
I think it throws a bit of a wrench in this whole situation where Iran has been very calculated, very deliberate, very careful in all of the actions it's taken, not just since Soleimani's death, but since the beginning of President Trump's maximum pressure campaign. And this obviously betrays a lot of incompetence.